We are almost knee height now, knee depth. And then we're going to get down to basically neck height.
Well, it's not going to last forever.
Keep working hard, boys! Get it in!
Hey! What's going on over there? And you're still digging!
You're meant to be platoon commanders!
You don't sleep for so long, your dreams start intruding on your waking time. So you're trying not to sleep, but you're dreaming at the same time as being awake. So you hallucinate.
56 hours with no sleep, so everything's taking that little bit longer.
The only way you can be prepared from childhood for something like this, if you come from army background, which I don't.
The morale of the platoon's going down.
It's amazing how you can still function with so little food, so little sleep, when you're cold, when you're wet. Although we're certainly finding out a lot about each other.
I really wanted to find out before I came here that I was a good person. I was the kind of person who put others before myself, that I wouldn't jack on anyone, that I would be a leader when I was under pressure and under fatigue. And I don't know whether I'm finding out that that's so.
We've all discussed what we're doing this weekend. Who's going to get away the furthest? Anything other than this. I am going to some cocktail bar in London on Saturday night with the Bird. And then I think we'll probably all be sleeping until about 3 in the afternoon.
I think there's still definitely that perception that it's mainly upper class and mainly public school educated, mainly young men that join and have a good life in the officers' mess. Don't really pay too much attention to the men, but it's not like that anymore. You know, we're an army at war, and soldiers, you know, they don't want a bloke who can wear good moleskins and can put the port down him in the mess. They want someone who's going to command them and lead them.
I've always been interested in politics and the democratic system in this country. We don't have the romantic debates in the chamber in the House of Commons that we used to have in the 19th century, but we still have officers and we still have Sandhurst. And if you want to serve your country in that kind of way, then this is the place to come, I think.
I'm just going to kickstart really the discussion and say that Sandhurst, British Army on the whole, in particular the British Army Officer Corps, is not really an essential part of the Army and only is the embodiment of 18th century British class structure. What do you think of that?
I think it's probably a commonly held view. Like what people see of the officer corps is people walking around in red trousers and tweed jackets and stuff like that, and with the issue dogs and stuff like that.
Do you have a tweed jacket?
No.
You don't? What's wrong with you? Miss Eldridge.
I do think that there is a conflict between 18th century values and sort of that conception of the officer and what is required of an officer in modern conflict. In one of the extracts from the anthology it says, "The regimental colours are not merely a square of embroidered cloth on a pole, they are an object of religious veneration, a holy relic, and officers in the same category, their intrinsic worthlessness having no bearing on their enormous symbolic value."
There's a good quote in here actually. It says a gentleman should seek to serve society through leading it. So maybe it's a gentleman's desire would be to join the army.
The British Army is a very peculiar beast, isn't it? You do many things differently from virtually any other Western army.
If it's archaic, it's a throwback to the British education system. The army is a product of the society it comes from. And just looking at some of the people in the company, you can tell where they've gone to school, and it's public schools.
You get a couple, like she's saying, you get a couple that turn up and you can tell where they've been to school. Then I think a lot of them, like a lot of the lads in our platoon and stuff like that, have, you know, would be squaddies if they hadn't gone to the careers officer and he's like, no, you've got a degree, go to Sandhurst.
I always wanted to be in the army in some capacity when I was a kid.
They never left off this.
It wasn't like some people who have always known that they were going to end up here.
What's he going to do?
I'm not posh by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not put upper class, or, you know, but some people here, you can tell. I mean, I think there's a Lloyd George in one of the other platoons, and he's supposed to be like the great grandson of the Prime Minister. So I think it's nice that you're around these people, and it gives you the ability to, you know, you could go beagling if you wanted to. And where are you going to get the chance to do that? So I think it does open your horizons, it opens up a different world.
I kind of view it almost as like, as a sort of, I don't know how it sounds to say that, it's always like a finishing off of an education.
The Queen!
I'm joining the Household Cavalry as a confirmed cadet, and I received my letter a month before I came confirming it. It's not only myself. In the intake, there is also one other confirmed cadet in the Household Cavalry. The Household Cavalry being in the Household Division, there are sort of more traditions, and there's a bit more of the sort of past taken into account. And the fact that both our fathers were in the regiment, I'm sure, had some degree, you know, I think if we hadn't had that connection, then maybe we wouldn't have stood out at all.
You get some of the great military families. My father joined the Lifeguards, his grandfather joined the Lifeguards, so I'll join the Lifeguards.
Now, many of them are great because they're almost inculcated with the values and standards, and they're part of a military family, so they understand so many of the dimensions of Sandhurst before they even get here, the dimensions of leadership. A few of them, very few, think it's a pink ticket into the army.
No, I can't sit on my laurels, basically, is what I was told, and I've been told to make sure I have a strong performance. And yeah, I feel like I've got a lot to prove. And every time now that I'm seen on a run to not be performing, or if I ask a stupid question, or all the rest of it, I feel like I've got that pressure because, you know, that's not what the regiment would expect.
Harwood's probably the weakest in the platoon, but he's the platoon commander, so hopefully he'll get leader's legs and take the platoon up to the top of the hill. It's not a big deal. They get psyched out by it because the cadets have called it Backtown Hill. They're carrying a little bit more weight, but they're that much further down their training now, so it's not difficult.
Harwood, why are you giving up? Why are you giving up?
Platoon commander, go over there, keep going. Get over there. Come on, you're the platoon commander of this, Mr. Harwood. There's a platoon of men following you here. You can see the top. Keep going. Come on, Harwood. Come on. Come on.
No, stay back. Stay back.
He needs to dig in. Every time he stops, affects every single member of the platoon. His respect threshold every time he stops dips just a little bit more. So he just needs to look within himself, work out whether he really wants this, and get himself to the top of the hill. You know, there's no time to be quiching out, really.
Keep going, Mr. Harwood, come on. You've got a platoon of men behind you. You're doing a good job. This is mind games now, Harwood. You can see the end. 200-300 metres away from the RV. Straighten your back, stand up.
You lead from the front, Harwood. You lead from the front. Come on. You lead from the front. There we go. Let's go. So I want 2 sections in the Bergens, 3 sections along this axis here, and 1 axis pushing out with the wind.
He's been put in a command appointment to illustrate to him the issues of not being fit enough. Because if anything had happened at the top of that hill, he could have done nothing. Couldn't have influenced the situation at all. He was in his own little world of hurt. And so, you know, really, hopefully this illustrates to him the work he needs to put in from now on. Hopefully he's learnt his lesson. Should have done. He nearly dropped.
The place thrives on masculinity and, you know, being the big dog, really. That's what everything's about. Like the guys who, if you look at the guys who are rated at the top of the platoon, it's the guys with the kind of loudest voice and the, you know, the masculine lads.
It is definitely tribal because immediately you get here, you're put into a group of 30. Could be described as, you know, we call it a platoon, someone else somewhere in the world might call that a tribe. And again, that just goes hand in hand with, as a tribes work together, do everything together. So yeah, I suppose it's a bit Neolithic in that sense, that you're not, however far we are away from our ancestors in that respect, we're not that far away at all. That tribal sense brings out that aggression. We're far from what we used to do, you know, a few thousand years ago. But as you know, a soldier's job ultimately is to go out and kill the enemy. It's a very tribal thing to do.
I'm still on stag for an hour and a half now because nobody's come to relieve me.
Wait, Gray, shouldn't Harvard be on stag? What?
Reading?
Yeah?
Harvard be there in a second.
Brilliant. Harvard.
If you were to say to someone you're Jack, it means you look after number one and you're not committed to the platoon. That's not a good thing.
Jack is probably the opposite of what we're looking for. But every cadet who comes through Sandhurst at times will find himself in Jack's place.
Oh, good Lord. But we've got to work on your fitness, Mr. Harbour, because at the moment, on Saturday, you're under review, Kate. And if you don't do well there, the company commander has got to raise you up to college commander's warning. How many loaded marches have you taken yourself on?
Only about 4, sir.
Since you were placed on the warning?
Sir.
Who did you go with for those 4?
I didn't, sir.
You went by yourself?
Sir.
Okay. You need to ramp it up every night this week. Okay, running, still with weight on your back, but just run. Okay, even if you find yourself running really slowly, it's still better than nothing, and hopefully then you'll be able to keep up with the platoon. Fitness aside, I still think you're a good bloke, personable, good to have around, good for morale. So there's loads of positives, but there's just this one overarching negative aspect which you just need to crack. Okay, and I'm sure come Saturday you will. I really hope come Saturday you will. I'm not sure, but I hope. All right?
Yes, sir.
Good, Mr. Harbour, thank you.
Please cancel, please.
Yeah, please do. Who's next?
I'm not entitled to that.
The brief, as they say, is in the pudding, which will be, you know, Saturday lunchtime.
You're over. Oh, yes.
So helmet and rifle is 6, so you've got 14 in your kit with a water bottle to take you.
Sandhurst is a game, for sure. There's one guy in the platoon who I won't mention who likes to use the phrase that if you're not cheating, you're not trying hard enough.
What does it mean?
It's a mile and a half with full kit, so webbing, day sag, rifle.
Couple over.
I had to weigh 17 kilos in your kit, and it was over that. So I just removed my body armour. I came to Sandhurst not wanting to change, if I could help it. Because frankly, I'm perfectly happy with the person I am.
Come, Mr. Harbour, keep grafting. Come, Mr. Twyman. Is that a skip or a run that's got to it? It's a comedy run. Well, Mr. Harbour.
He did achieve greatness, and then sadly, after the event, we weighed his kit and found he was light. So it's not surprising he sprinted around the course.
Mr. Holland. That's a good lad. Well done.
Got him, Mr. Everett, all the way. Give him out.
Keep moving.
After we'd done the assessment, which had gone well, I was underweight. So not good. It was a bit of a crash and burn after the effort that was put in. A bit of a waste of time.
He was expected to have 17 and he only packed 10. It was not up to the required amount by any stretch of the imagination. That's a hell of a lot, 7 bags of sugar. So, yeah, it's a sort of formal notification and we know what you've done there, big lad, and you're going to get punished as a consequence. But it was definitely stupidity. Maybe with a little bit of something else touched in. 1 officer cadet on summer hearing, sir. Officer cadet, shun! Quick march! Officer cadet, march. Halt! Officer cadet, salute.
RU 25232819 Officer Cadet James Henry Sebastian Harbord.
Sir.
Okay, you are charged as follows. JHS Harbord contravened order number 1 to Almain Company routine orders by failing to complete the loaded march with 17 kilograms. Do you admit or deny the charge?
Admit the charge, sir.
Having found the charge against you proved, I award you 5 days restrictions of privileges. Because I don't believe you to be deliberately dishonest, I think this is a slip-up, an aberration of sorts. However, you must understand, as you progress through your military career, that these sort of things simply cannot be allowed to occur. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
The hearing is now concluded.
March up!
We take the mick out of the Cav boys. Like, Daddy bought that for me. And it's complete, it's his old man's in the army. He's following in his dad's footsteps in the same way that when I worked, as an electrician, I was doing the same. But it's all good natured.
There are all sorts of excuses that can come up, but it's just, fundamentally, I've got to get on with it, motivate myself and get out earlier in the mornings, in the evenings, just to try and close the gap that exists between me and the rest of the platoon. Because as we've all got fitter, the gap's just been maintained, so it's just as noticeable as it was at the beginning.
As a confirmed cadet, Mr. Harbord knows that he will gain a commission into the Household Cavalry if he completes the commissioning course. The rest will work hard at Sandhurst, hope that their reports gain them an interview for these competitive regiments. A lot of people will consider applying for the Parachute Regiment, Household Cavalry, and a number of other regiments. Spaces are limited for the infantry and the cavalry, and you have to work very hard to get into them.
In an ideal world, I'd like to go to the Parachute Regiment. Their basic function is to close and kill the enemy. So that's the infantry's mission statement. When you look at it rationally, it doesn't seem like the most sensible thing to do, but it's an itch I've got to scratch, really.
It's selfish and it's not. It's selfish and it's the most unselfish thing that you can do. Unselfish in so much that you're willing to risk life and limb for your country, but then, the people that you're being selfish to are the ones that actually are the ones that you care most about. Of course I want to have kids and I want to grow old and I want to do all those things, but it's not me that would bear the brunt of it, and that's what I find, that's the worst bit, is that it's the people that you leave behind. It's like I feel bad for my mum and dad and my girlfriend. And I mean, there's times where I think, is it worth it? Am I stringing her along?
The last couple of weeks, they've had been dropping like flies. Boney, Reardon, Whitaker, everyone. Just getting the chop. That's what this place does. And we were told this from the beginning, and I was like, no, it'll be fine. Even solid relationships have gone down the tube.
It rips me up though. But this decision that I made.
Joy.
He has impressive applied intelligence and is thoroughly convincing when in command. He leads from the front and is liked and respected by his peer group in equal measure. I sense that he has another gear, and I'm certain that he will make an excellent, if not slightly colourful, young officer. Very strongly recommended for both choice farm. Okay, so it's all there. You're a good, fit bloke, well liked by his peers, and actually the company directing staff as well. Okay, so I don't know about the parachute regiment. I don't know what, and it will come down to you. It's only down to you. It's got to be a strong performance from you at the interview, otherwise they might well not offer. Know your heart's set on the paras.
So,
that's it, really.
Lift camera, sir, please.
Yeah, please do. All of the hard work that they've put into being at Sandhurst up to now is what they're going to get tested on. And each regiment or corps has only got a set number of places that they can fill each year. So they've got a quality line, and if you don't hit that line, then they won't be offering a place. It's certainly the most important job interview that I've ever done.
I remember being like 8 years old and getting a book on the paras in Woolworths and reading it and being, oh, that'd be a good job, or that'd be, and then, you know, yesterday I was reading from that same book, getting some regimental history, and to think that I'm, you know, an hour away from fulfilling an ambition that I had as a little kid, that's quite, yeah, it's quite fulfilling. Well, it will be if I get it, won't it? So yeah. When you're a kid and you're playing soldiers, that's what you're pretending to do, isn't it? I think leading infantrymen in combat is the biggest challenge that you could take up, really. That idea of just being highly motivated and a small team, and that's the idea that appeals to me.
That's how the guys feel. They want to do as best as they can. They want to serve with quality soldiers, and that's what the regiment offers, is the quality of soldier. If you're going to be a bear, why don't you be a grizzly bear?
Sir, Officer Elizabeth Eldridge.
Hello, Elizabeth. Fraser Blood.
Good
How do you
afternoon,
do?
sir.
Come on in. How are you enjoying Sandhurst at the moment, then?
Very much.
Yeah, fair to say.
I think that there are a lot of characters at Sandhurst, a lot of different personalities.
Right, that's fair
It's
enough.
the right mix to keep me here.
Good, good. Let me introduce you to the team. Colonel Yorick Griffiths. Yorick, come on.
I have been described by my platoon commander as quirky and by my company commander as unconventional. But I don't feel alone.
You have quite an interesting CV, actually, quite a lot of it with a political interest. Tell me about that. How did you get into that?
Well, from a very young age, I've always been interested in service and service to your country.
Mm-hmm.
So politics is just a function of that.
Mm-hmm.
By representing people and involving yourself in democracy,
Mm-hmm.
you may in some small way change things for the better.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the same stuff that motivates me to be here at Sandhurst.
As a friend of mine who commissioned last year said, he was also confirmed, but for another regiment.
James, come on in.
When everyone else is being asked the tough questions, like, so why do you want to join the army? What have you got to give us? Why should we take you? The hardest question that he was asked was tea or coffee. So, I mean, you know, if it's going to be as sort of cushy as that, then I'm happy.
I find this moment quite an enigma and quite a challenge for me. You're a confirmed cadet, and therefore we have set quite a lot of confidence and support in your stock that you'll come through and do very well. And you're sitting in the middle third. There are parts of you which are dropping you down into a lower third, and that is not really where we'd expect someone who's seeking a commission in the Household Cavalry.
So,
when you first get exposed to soldiers, they will be quick to work out where the weaknesses are, and if they're the weaknesses that give them concern for your future, then that would be a big error. So you have to sort that out before you get commissioned.
thank you, Arsenal. You're described in one of your reports as slightly unconventional. Do you think that Sandhurst supports the unconventional?
Of course, dare to be different.
Okay, so if you're going to be different, I'm going to send you back in time, and you have an opportunity to influence the course of history. I wonder, off the top of your head, if you can conceive of a moment in history where you might wish to bring some influence to bear, and how you might change the course of history.
Russia, 1917. I'd go and make friends with Lenin, and I'd make him stick more to Marxist ideology than going off on purges and destroying the idea of communism as it was first conceived.
Oh, brilliant.
Well done.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And well done, sir.
So good effort, take a seat. Yeah, I mean, the board were thoroughly impressed. I just thought you were a genuine, honest bloke. Liked the way you grafted, you know, through your electrician's course, and you know, tried to find your feet a little bit, and came in for the right reasons. So, yeah, brilliant. You did well.
Yuri, what's your view? I think she'd be surprised with those that she'd have under her command and the things they get up to and what she'd be faced with.
Yeah.
But I think they would like what they saw in their young officer.
She's my kind of different.
Yeah,
I agree. She is not conventional, but I think that's positive. And you're right, I think the soldiers will find her very different, but I think massively engaged. My experience of all of her interest in extracurricular activities is that she is incredibly dynamic, and funnily enough, she will work tirelessly on behalf of her charges. That's not a bad starting point. And I think she'll evolve. She's evolving massively while she's at Sandhurst.
I just think a very risky bet, and it could go either way. It could be hugely successful, could be a complete disaster. And for us, I just think a little on the risky side, perhaps not this time.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yep. How'd you get on? Did you get it? Yeah. Same here. Yeah. Smart to put here as well.
Did he? Yeah. You crack on, mate.
I will do, cool.
Who are you going to phone about it now?
My ex-girlfriend. I owe a lot to her, like the support she gave, the fact that she gave me the kick up the arse to get here. So while it might not work out, it might not, you know, be working out, I think, you know, still she played a massive part in me getting here and success, so yeah. Alright, cool. Alright, cheers, mate. See you later.
So the troops this morning are doing the log race, which is one of the endurance competitions that they do whilst they're here. Makes it more competitive. It's 30 blokes competing against the other 8 platoons, trying to get the best time around a 3.5 kilometre route. It's a good chance for them to show how well they work together as a team.
Yeah, it's a closed pitch on the front, and then it's an L to sort of stop the rest of the knots from coming off. And then the rest of the
Physical worries still Mr. Harvard. If he does well today, then he'll probably come off as company commander this morning. But he had trouble even keeping up with the log. He wasn't sort of holding the log, he just had trouble running to keep up with it the other day. So I don't think too much will have changed, so we'll see.
30 seconds, sir.
Bit of Sandhurst folklore, really. And we got the perfect day for it. It's absolutely ideal.
Get those guys out of the way.
I remember mine, and I was talking to some guys at the weekend. They remember theirs very, very clearly. So it's a bit of a rite of passage at Sandhurst. I expect the boys to do well. It is sheer will and determination and guts. It hurts from about the first 50 metres, and it will hurt until you cross the line. It has no great correlation to any military activity, other than just working out how determined and robust they are.
Mr. Harvard. Which words, please?
Please do. Great stuff. Let's keep it going, though. One of the first things that normally happens at your regiment will be commanding officers PT, and they look out for young officers. That's the nature of the business. So it's a very quick win you can achieve. Rock up,
you're fit, physically fit, and your blokes will see that, and it's an instant respect threshold. So yeah, good effort. Keep ploughing away, but you're off your warning. Slip back quietly into the ranks. Happy with that?
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Gleaming. All right. Thanks, Mr. Hubbard. Please do. Have a good leave.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
His respect in his platoon is back, which is always important. His self-respect is there, but he needs to know, obviously it's something when he gets to regimental duty, he needs to continue to plough away at, because the blokes like their platoon commanders to be fit.
We often talk about bad apples. What about if it's a bad barrel? And what about if it's a bad barrel maker that infects the apple? In no time at all, you're all going to be barrel makers. You're all going to have your own barrel, a platoon, and you're going to have 30 men and women under your command. And your actions and your influences are part of that system and are part of that situation. And if you get it wrong, it can be toxic.
These guys join the army because they think they're going to go to war and kill the Taliban. They think they like the idea of going to war.
Okay, we've got a dodgy looking character coming round the corner now. Sanger spotted him. Okay, you can hear him radio in. He's told the ops room that he's got a suspicious guy, he's got eyes on him.
Stand still! Stand still!
So there's a scenario there, you've got a guy coming towards you. You need to stop them far enough away so that you can search them and make sure they're no threat to you. In this situation, they failed to stop, okay? Now that doesn't automatically mean they're a threat and therefore we can engage them, okay?
Broadsword, by its nature, throws up a number of surprises. There are people who you think are doing very well, but actually it's their reaction to stress that lets them down, and suddenly it spirals down very quickly. Clearly your head will be on the big deliberate ops, and you have one tonight, Op Armadillo. We'll teach them, and they'll get better at it, but there are some guys who clearly, their reaction to stress is still very poor. And at this stage of the course, that's a massive cause for concern.
I mean, just looking at 3 platoon, I'd say sort of a good 30–40% are really nice, charming people who've probably, never been in a fight, let alone had to turn some aggression on outside of the sports pitch.
Hello, Gordon.
For some of them, it is like pulling teeth. Some of them really don't like having to get physical and get aggressive.
Yep, just give me 1 second, I'll do that now. Out.
But, needs must is what goes on out there. And, not just with regards to the Taliban or whatever insurgency it is that we're facing, but also sometimes the local population need a bit of gentle persuasion as well.
At uni there were a couple of brawls and things that broke out because I, said some silly things after drinking some drinks. But I was never, I didn't get casted off to the Roses or anything for such a terrible performance. So no, I've kind of always been quite careful about it. I've never really landed myself in a sort of life or death situation.
Right, HQ, be advised, there's a large crowd gathering outside Gate 3. They appear to be stopping people getting in Gate 3, over.
In a counter-insurgency environment, there's civilian population, there's insurgents, there's detainees, there's all kinds of other factors which they've got to think about, and they've got to make a quick decision as to whether they're allowed under the law of armed conflict to pull the trigger or not.
Tonight and tomorrow morning you will embark on your Sandhurst public order training package, which for many of you will be the first time you've been in a fight, and for some of you perhaps may well be the first time you've experienced true fear, and I think for the majority of you it will be the first time you've experienced burning.
Stop!
tell you now, gentlemen, that was shocking. There was people there that didn't even want to get out and start having a scrap. Yeah, I understand controlled aggression. You've got to understand the orchestrations of what we're doing. You are better than this, every single one of you, and I know you are. We're just not working as a team. 6-foot shields, not getting the shields straight, not clipping the shields back in together. All right? We need to get it right. You're letting them kick you, and every time they kick you, you're going back. You're going back, so you're losing the ground you've just gained.
I hadn't quite realised how shaken up people were going to be by facing a mob. The number of times you look around and you see someone breaking and you see them like surge forward from the line or drop back or being slightly reticent about using force.
I think all of you will feel it keenly that we've just completely capitulated outside. Mission failure, okay? That's what it feels like. Whatever activity you're involved in, gain the momentum, hold it, and maintain it. And if you have to fight for it, you damn well fight for it. We lost it, and we never even attempted to try and gain it back. And as a result, we're in here licking our wounds.
We need to have a stronger, tougher stance when we're out there. But it's difficult because all the preparation has been with rules of engagement, law of armed conflict, how to operate in an environment where there are civilians and insurgents there, and you want to gain popular support, win the Hearts and Minds campaign. And then you've got a mob rushing you. And I think that the natural reaction is to retreat from the situation because you think aggression will inflame it.
We try in the training environment to replicate many of the stresses and strains of operations, and that's what makes operations just so challenging. They've got to understand just how brutal it is, be it various body parts strewn around.
Don't silhouette yourself against the window, stand back.
War. It's the biggest man test, isn't it? That's what I think is for, and it sounds mental, you know, but it's the biggest test, isn't it?
Got a casualty there. Got 2 casualties down there.
I want to fight,
Taking the ammo off.
and I want to experience combat. Yeah, you might experience it, and then you might get your legs blown off. You might end up in a wheelchair. You might end up dead.
Come on.
I don't want to be one of those people that regrets not doing something.
These words, please.
Yeah, please do, Mr. Harvard. Okay, where do you think you're sitting in the platoon?
Hope up to middle third, sir.
Really?
Sir.
Honestly?
Sir.
Okay, no, you're still in bottom third. 7 weeks we've got before you join the Household Cavalry, and they're a professional outfit and they'll have high standards of what they expect from you, as will the soldiers.
Yes, sir.
So we need to think about a few things. What sport are you doing this term?
Polo.
Okay, do you think that's a good sport to be doing for someone who needs to work on their fitness?
Possibly not, sir.
So should we change your sport?
You can do, sir.
What did you do sport last time?
Shooting. And then the first time was beagling.
Okay. What sport do you think would be better for your general fitness?
Triathlon, sir.
Triathlon or cross country, I would say yes.
Let's drive! Go! Fellas, wait for Harvard! Wait for Harvard! Nearly there! Push it! Come on, Harvard! Remember, come on, Harvard, you want me? Let's go! Let's go! We still got to cover up!
It's Mr. Harvard getting in the jack wagon, really. He just couldn't handle the pace. There's There's no injury, he's just not fit enough. And the platoon went out really fast, and they've caught him out really. And there was nothing more to do. He was going to drop. He had about another 50 metres before he actually hit the tarmac, so better to pull him off there. But he's licking his wounds in the wagon, as you'd expect, and then there'll be a post-mortem, and let's hope he survives that, because there's not much else wrong with him.
That was a good effort, everyone knows that. We can hold our heads high there. We lost Harvard. He was completely legit. He gave it his all. Probably started a bit too fast, but overall, it saved us time to lose him, so that's why we lost him.
I think they gave him permission to quit or be physically weaker than he should have been. And his close mates, those going to the regiment with him, actually should have taken him to task on it and said, you're embarrassing yourself, you're embarrassing potentially us in the future, because we're all going to be in the same regiment, and the platoon as a whole doesn't need to carry you. He just never applied himself, and his platoon never held him to task on it.
Foot that way, is that a bit uncomfortable?
A little bit, if you were to really go for it.
If I press in there? Yeah. Okay. What about that way?
You can't do the exercise for 7 days.
The meat of the exercise is the first 6 days for us,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Like firing, we can pretty much, you can run around the ranges. I know it's not the same, but I think we'll take them up there. If it stays as it is at the moment, 7 days, I don't think that counts as successful completion of Dynamo victory.
No.
So he has to go back and do it again.
A week ago, it felt pretty good. 1 day closer every time you take one off. Since we started, you get pretty close to the end, and now it feels like a bit of a false hope. He's just sort of saying, prepare to be back-termed, which obviously no one wants, especially when you're as close to the end. The morning before the deployment for the final exercise, it's the last thing you want to hear, and it definitely feels a lot better now.
Let's go.
Dynamic victory represents the final hurdle for them. Are you prepared to take the pain and do what it takes to become an officer in the British Army?
Up to now, they've been using blanks on all of the exercises that they've done, with their sort of yellow BFAs on the ends of the barrels and the blank magazines. Now they've got live rounds, hence why direction staff are in helmets.
You think about that?
Yeah, it's cool. Okay, fun.
Enjoy it?
Very much so, yeah.
Right, good. Accuracy of fire, was quite spot on there. Right, that's what I like to see. Okay, every 3 rounds the target was going down. It took 3 rounds before the target would move. Okay, but you've got to be more aggressive. Okay, move it. Let's go quickly.
Get back up to the machine now. Get down! Steal or move back. Get down! Do not move, gentlemen. Do not shit. Start moving! How can you command if you're not at the front? You should be pushing your way through there! Hey, you! You start showing some aggression! The first one in your lazy life! Get a move on! You are lazy!
By the time they finish, they will be absolutely stripped out, completely nothing left. So it's a question of just how hard they push themselves. And they'll think it's going to be hard work, hard graft, because everyone talks about it. But they'll be halfway through when I think they've got nothing more to give. Yet they can find it somewhere. It's just a question of where they find it. And they'll learn vast amounts about themselves here. And equally, other blokes as well, because they'll get a chance to see each other at certain stages as well. So it's a good opportunity to win the respect of your mates again.
Get up here! You are mincing! You are mincing! Back to the beginning start again, get a move on! You understand? Listen to me, gentlemen, the only thing that's going to get you through this race today is pure, raw aggression. Your legs are going to go, your body's going to go, your mind's going to go. However, aggression will keep you ticking over.
I'm not expecting them to be great company commanders. That comes to people hopefully sort of 12, 14 years down the line. But it's interesting to see, it gives you an idea of their capacity at this age.
Push through that pain barrier! Start moving! Move it! Get on my lap! That's the win! The welcome win! Horseman! Come on, double! Get on!
So I would stop making silly sounds. Weapons there. Okay. See him? No, it starts swelling up even more if he takes it off now, so.
If you would have asked me at the beginning who won't make it, he would have been the #1 choice.
That's what we've got. The six of the army's got to look forward to. Is it? Embrace the leadership. Come on! There he is! There he is! Come on, do it!
Get your bay now! Mr. Mountain! Get by! Get on there! There's an enemy on the other side of that tunnel!
Go! Come on! Get King! You've got to end there!
It's pretty handy how the foot comes back into play, does it, when things are getting a bit tough. Just on live ranges, we've done Galloway Forest, we've done that BT, all easy. Things get tough, foot comes into play again, does it? That's what I'm thinking, that's what the company commander thinks, that's what Commandant Veza thinks. Pathetic. Pathetic, Mr. Harvard. And you're going to lead troops.
Once we already, we'll be in the back of the ambulance. Get down now!
Get down! Get it!
Miss Selfridge, there's an enemy out here, and he's laughing at you.
All these webbing have got bayonet.
You got it on there? You got bayonet?
Got bayonet. No, in your webbing. Yep, yeah.
Selridge, right one. Selridge. Bayonet off.
If I was a betting man, I would say, I think you might get your commission, okay? Bizarrely enough, because the Commandant has a context that I don't have necessarily. So, despite my recommendation, don't regard it as a done deal at all, but I'm afraid you can anticipate a nervous 2 hours as a result.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mr. Hopkins. Question is, would he have been household cavalry if he hadn't been confirmed cadet? Not a cat in hell's chance, given his bottom third rating.
Is his old man's HCR?
Yeah.
Do you think he's met the Sandhurst standard, regardless of where he's going?
I think he's a quitter, to be honest, sir.
Yeah. So I think
he lacks determination.
You think it's a character thing?
Yeah. I would love him to turn around and say, if I commission, I'll go to Brecon for 3 weeks and I'll work hard to make sure I turn up in my regiment ready to rock. I suspect he'll go to Saint-Tropez or wherever it is.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Absolutely.
Right. Tell me about Mr. Harvard.
Mr. Harvard, sir, he has had a number of significant failures on the endurance competition. He dropped out on the log race. He didn't attach himself to the log at any stage. He missed the march and shoot. He came off the bayonet range yesterday with an injury, but has rejoined training today. So probably not a substantial injury given the nature of that. One could argue that he therefore has a history not only of a possible physical frailty, but also possibly mental robustness.
Is he motivated?
Well, I don't think he is, actually, I'll be honest, because his physical shortcomings were clearly identifiable in the first term.
Right.
Yet it wasn't until RB5 when he instigated his own training regime, despite our encouragement, and he has consistently elected to choose sports which don't require any physical endeavour. I just think that's poor judgment. If you're coming up short, you do everything you possibly can to rectify it. I don't think he has.
The issue seems to be he has got the breaking strain of a soggy Kit Kat when it comes to physical and arduous conditions, and I think it's more a character flaw. I think it overwhelms him.
Right, Mr. Harvard, I think you know exactly why you're in here. You have passed all the mandatory tests. So in theory, on purely physical fitness terms, we should let you go. But we're not going to, because this is not a back term for physical fitness, it's a back term for determination. You're a confirmed cadet going into the Household Cavalry Regiment, so I want to hold on to you. It's determination in adversity that I want to see. It's in there, so we're giving you a second chance, right? Look at it positively. That's important. Is there anything you want to say?
Yes, sir.
Is that fair?
It is, sir.
All right, well done, Mr. Harvard. March out. In order to learn, you need to confront failure. Failure is a great teacher, all by himself. And so we do make cadets fail, quite deliberately so. We put them under pressure, and make them fail, and we do that even to the very best. And then we bring them on again, and suddenly they surpass where they failed the last time. And they say they can do it. I understand it. I know what it takes. So failure is an important part of Sandhurst.
It is what it is. And since it's my determination that's called into question, I have to just come back fighting hard.
It might be strong and it might be tough to be able to endure physical degradation, feeling humiliated, physically exhausted, physically in pain. It also sort of makes you a little bit less, I don't know, less human.
We all got our berets handed out earlier, and then his was like left. It was pretty in Jack's pocket.
His beret and his cigars, celebratory Cuban cigars.
Do you feel mine?
I think he'd be upset if we didn't.
The tea's right there. You have to be so focused on stuff that you reject the wider picture to focus on the here and now and getting through Sandhurst. I don't have a girlfriend anymore. But I think what I've lost, I've gained massively elsewhere, so I get to wear my own beret.
It is your day. Enjoy it, take the atmosphere in, live the great Sandhurst dream. By the left, kick, march! And please look after and lead our men and women well.
I think I'm harder and harsher, but I would rather be the person who's going to commission than the person who walked up the steps in junior term.
I'm often asked, is there one golden rule for leadership? As officers, you are serving your soldiers. Someday, you may have to lead men into battle. This is an extraordinary thing to do. You are their servants. And you do that through leading them. That's how it works. If you don't understand that, you ain't got it. That's serve to lead. Go out and love your soldiers.